Welcome to the Vault podcast and reviews, where music still matters. You can check out all our shows at YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, and Podomatic. Please rate, review, and most importantly, subscribe. Also, make sure to check us out on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And if you like what we're doing and you'd like to contribute to help us keep the show going, check out patreon.com/The Vault. Welcome back to another review from us, The Vault Reviews. Brent's with us today, and Brent actually requested we do this review. I'm a huge fan of the band, but Brent, I'll let you start things off.
This album's actually not very old. We are doing Borknagar's Winter Thrice. It actually came out, January 22nd of this year. So, I mean, this is pretty much brand spanking new.
I think this is the latest we've been on to a new release in a long time.
Yeah, this one, as weird as it sounds, I mean, I was on YouTube doing the normal, going through stuff, and this actual song, Winter Thrice, came on. I'm like, hey, it looks like new Borknagar, because I didn't know they were coming out with anything. So, call me a bad fan, whatever. And I listened to it, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. So whenever the album came out, I had to listen to the full thing, and we'll get into all the review and stuff. But I fell in love with Borknagar as soon as I heard The Genuine Pulse. That song alone just set them apart from a lot of other bands that could be very similar. So I don't know about you, but that was where I started with Borknagar. It's still one of my favorite songs, and that's one of my favorite albums of theirs.
For those of you who are unfamiliar with Borknagar, they're black metal with like progressive and folk elements. I think that's about the best way to describe them.
Yeah.
So Genuine Pulse. That was the first song I ever heard from them too. In fact, I remember it back in the Napster days. Like I was searching for whatever black metal I could find because I had fallen in love with Unholy Black Metal by Dark Throne, and then anything from Cradle of Filth and Dimmu Borgir. But that's all I knew. I didn't know anything else. And then I found them, and I'm like, man, there's some clean vocals, which we'll get into later. In fact, that's one of my favorite aspects of this band.
Yes.
But clean vocals, and the song structures are different and interesting, and a little bit of that medieval folk feel to it. So, yeah, I've been a fan ever since. I wouldn't say I'm a diehard fan, but anytime they come out with something new, I'll try and check it out.
Yep.
I actually have very little notes on this. Brent, do you want to start with since you requested it, I'll give you the honors to start with kind of what you liked about it, because I don't have any notes hardly.
One of my favorite parts of Borknagar, like you said, was the clean vocals. That was something that, bands like Cradle and stuff, they did a little bit with the female singers and stuff. And Dimmu did a little bit, of course. I wasn't that much into Dimmu as much as you were, though. I enjoyed the Spiritual Black Dimensions, but I hadn't really got into them past that. Like I said, whenever I heard the Genuine Pulse, the dude's voice, the clean vocals just was amazing. And that was one thing that really struck me with this album. I mean, they've got like 3 or 4 people singing on this album?
3 at least, yeah.
And it kind of amazed me how they were able to put all that together and actually make it decent. Because a lot of times, you get that many people singing, it can become a mess. So, I mean, I don't really honestly know where to start other than the one recommendation I have whenever you listen to this is listen to it on a good system. Don't listen to it on a tinny sounding laptop system, because you will miss a tremendous amount of depth with this album. And that was the one thing that caught me on Winter Thrice. So I went and I started listening to the whole thing even before we started doing this review. And it was why I actually requested it. It's for me, it's hard to find a black metal type band that has as much like depth of sound as Borknagar does. I mean, it's just layers upon layers upon layers upon layers of music. And I mean, that's kind of, the progressive type, sound and stuff coming in through it. But it's just done, I think, very well throughout this album. And with the clean vocals and stuff, I thought it was done very, very well. What did you think?
I want to start with the vocals. For anybody unfamiliar, ICS Vortex is I think he's one of the founding members. I know he's been in the band way back, and then he joined Dimmu Borgir. So what was that album called again that we were talking about?
I believe it was Puritanical Misanthropia or something like that.
Yeah, that one, and then Death Cult Armageddon, I believe, was one after that. I know he was on those two. He did all the clean vocals, so anytime you heard the clean vocals on that, that's ICS Vortex. He also has a solo album out, which I like probably better than any of the Borknagar stuff, which is saying something.
Mm-hmm.
We got to review that one down the road too. But this guy, his clean vocals are so good. He also plays bass. He's probably one of my favorite metal vocalists, and I mean that's
saying a lot.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's the best. He's no Dio or Rob Halford,
right,
but you know he's up there. And it's just he's got so much power, and he's got an original sound.
Yep.
And that's he's back in the band now, and this album just it shines with his vocals. Now musically, it's just solid. I think I don't have any notes because there wasn't I don't have any standout songs. I mean, I got two. Winter Thrice, the title track, and then I actually have three. Winter Thrice, Erodent, and Terminus. Those three songs kind of stood out to me for different reasons. But I don't have a lot of notes on this one because it was, we had previously done the review over the Obsequy album, and we were talking about how just solid it was start to finish. And to me, that's how this one was. I went back and I listened to several tracks once or twice, and then I went back and tried to listen to the whole album again, and it was just solid. Just everything is so good, and like you said, there's so many different layers of sound. But I can't pick things apart and say, oh well, this sucks or this is too boring, or I can't on the flip side say this is the best song I've ever heard or this one just really stands out, because the whole thing is just really, really solid. What else you got?
No, you're absolutely right. That's actually one of my biggest complaints with this album. I mean, that's a big complaint,
Right.
The whole album's too damn good. Damn you bastards. Yeah. But I mean, in all seriousness, to show you how it is, Winter Thrice was one of my favorite songs, but I also had Noctilucent and Panorama. So, between the two of us, we just picked 5 of the 9 songs as our top.
There you go. So and the other ones are all good too. So.
Yeah, they really are. The problem is none of it's weird. I say weird, that's the wrong word. None of them differentiate themselves from the other ones a tremendous amount. Yeah, they're different. Yeah, they're all layered. Yeah, you can tell usually when a song ends and a song begins, but there's not, like you said, there's not that big standout. I guess just to put it in kind of pop music, language, there's not the big single on it. And that's both a strength of the album and honestly a weakness of the album. The other thing that got me is I absolutely love the clean vocals. They are just amazingly powerful. The problem is this one thing I loved about the Empiricism album is there was a really good mix. And this one, there's a little bit of the, I guess, what is it, dirty vocals or whatever they call it. There's a little bit of that, but for the most part, it's all clean. And I think they're more dynamic and more interesting when it's a mix.
Yeah, I agree. It gives the clean vocals that much more majesty, I guess, if you want to use that word. I mean,
absolutely,
they're just so powerful with the contrast. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, and I mean, other than that, I mean, the musicianship is spot on. I mean, what you expect from Borknagar. And the songwriting's great. I mean, the song's got the whole album's got this kind of big nature feel, which kind of goes back to the folk metal stuff and all that. You can pick any song you want and it's very solid. But there again, it kind of comes, the way I kind of thought of it when I was listening to it is the album kind of crashes over you like waves.
That's a good way to put it, actually.
And while that's very, very nice, eventually it's one of those that it's okay, can we do something a little bit different? Just mix it up, because I know it's not predictable as in yep, okay, here comes the next wave. But it's right, yeah. It's okay, I know the wave is coming. And it would be nice sometimes if that was switched up. But there again, don't let that, detract you being oh, this album's going to be boring, because honestly, it's one of my favorite albums that we've reviewed on here. It's not one of the greatest albums we've reviewed on here, but I thoroughly enjoyed it listening to it. So much so I went back and listened to it again. I had to get some reviews done here. I mean, we reviewed 3 of just awesome new or fairly new black metal albums that we're getting to now. And this was, I thought, hung with all of them. It's very good and very solid, and it was worth me listening to it again. Which honestly, whenever I sit there, I mean, I love listening to music, but whenever I have to sit there and concentrate on it for like 6 hours, it's sometimes I don't want to go back and listen to it. This one I absolutely did.
For me, it's exactly what I expected. And this is, you were talking about a variety.
Yeah.
This isn't, this isn't quite an AC/DC type thing.
Right.
Where, or like Brent, I don't know that you'll get this, but like anybody that knows like the death metal band Mortician, like literally every song, which, they're like a minute long, like they all pretty much sound the same. Right. And not that it's a bad thing with them or AC/DC. This isn't that though. There's more variety and a lot more skill, I think, in these songs and the way they're put together. But like you said, it does need variety, and that's my knock on it. I mean, that really is the only negative I have, because everything else, it's not a great album, but it's above average and solid and something I would go back and listen to. But it's not going to be a 5-star for me. So that's really the only negative I have. What do you have any other negatives before we jump into the rating?
No, I mean, the other thing that just I think needs mentioned as far as like negatives, I don't have any, but the production on this is very, very, very well done.
Oh, I mean, top notch.
Yeah, it is absolutely crystal clear. I mean, this is just, like I said, when you listen to it, do so with, I highly recommend a pair of good quality headphones. But at the very least, you owe it to yourself to listen to it on a good stereo, because there is so much depth to this album, just depth of sound, that it's almost mind-boggling that they actually got it to sound like crisp and clean without being, wishy-washy, I guess.
Just kind of a side note, I know you got recently a pretty good set of headphones. Isn't it like a whole new world when you listen to music, like any kind of music, on a really good set of headphones? Oh,
it's amazing. I had always, bought the, just kind of the little Walmart, ones and stuff. And not that there's anything really wrong with that inherently. But I actually went and splurged and got a pair of like studio monitoring headphones, like that top level quality. And it is absolutely night and day. I mean, I'm picking up stuff on these albums that I never would have heard anywhere else.
Yeah, and that's even going back to like, a digital like remastered version of like Led Zeppelin or something from like the 70s. Maybe people can argue that it's not going to have the same sound as vinyl, but I just know that like I can hear more now with a good set of headphones. I advise people to get the studio headphones. Now I'm not going. There's so many good brands out there.
Right.
Of course, Dre Beats. I use Audio Technica. What is the brand you're using?
I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like Senal, something like that. It's Senal.
So there you go. There's 3 brands you can check out, but there are a lot of other good ones too. But go on Amazon, just do some review, check out the reviews on them. I would really recommend studio version though. The noise canceling, that's about as good as you can get regardless of what brand you buy. But definitely get a good set of headphones when you're listening to music, whether it's on a turntable, on a good stereo, or on your iPod. It really doesn't matter because they really help out a lot. So jumping on to you want.
Well, real quick, you mentioned Led Zeppelin, and it brought up, I meant to tell you this earlier and completely forgot about it. My wife and I had to go to, I say we had to, we were going up to St. Louis on a little bit of a trip, and I didn't bother bringing any CDs or anything because my wife hates my music and vice versa. So we're like, we'll just figure out what's on the radio and, survive the trip. And so I'm coming across on the way up, just, scanning the stations as we're driving. And I come across this station and I hear what may be the greatest thing I've ever heard on a radio station. They were actually playing the entire Led Zeppelin album, like every track by Led Zeppelin in alphabetical order.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Every single studio release song was going to be played in alphabetical order. And I was like, this is what heaven's like. I mean, literally. And they like between each song, they had like the little notes and stuff, like kind of not like the liner notes, but like actual like discussion a little bit with like what the band thought of the songs and stuff. Cause they went through the one where it's like, you hear the airplane like before, and he's like, no, leave it in. And they went through like how that happened and all this and that. And I'm like, dude, I'm getting history and Led Zeppelin.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Amazing. And of course, I look over and the wife's just looking at me. So, so I didn't get to listen to nearly as much of it as I wanted to. But yeah, so we dog on radio a lot, but there are stations out there doing the right thing. And so if you know which station that was, it was near St. Louis, between Lebanon and St. Louis somewhere. So if you know which one that is, feel free to give them a shout out because by God, they deserve it.
All right, before we get way off topic talking about Led Zeppelin and headphones, we're going to give this album a Vault Star rating from the Vault Star rating systems, which we came up with because we're geniuses.
That's right.
1 star being the worst, 5 stars being the best. What'd you give this one?
I'm giving it 4 1/4. Well, yeah, we'll go with 4 1/4. That's what I had in my mind. That's what we'll keep with. I enjoy it. I love the clean vocals. The older I get, the more I enjoy clean vocals, which, maybe I'm becoming weak. I don't know. But I really do. And like I said, I enjoy albums that just have a power and just a majesty, like you said earlier, to them. And this one really, truly does. It grabbed me from the first, and there are problems. You do know exactly what you're getting. I just think what you're getting is that good. I would put it as a must buy. If you like the early Borknagar stuff, you're going to enjoy this. Could have used a little more growling, dirty vocals, but I give it a good 4 1/4.
We're pretty close. I'm giving it a 4. So we're right around the same area.
Yeah.
Again, I really wish there was a little bit more contrast with the vocals, with the guttural stuff and the very clean. And then I wish there was a little bit more variety in the songs, but well above average overall. Yes. Every single song solid. I can't say I dislike any song on here. So,
right.
This is definitely an album to check out, and then go back and listen to a lot of their others.
Yes, definitely.
They're all similar, but each album's kind of got a little bit of a different feel to it, which I kind of like. So
yeah, and if you don't listen to any other Borknagar, at least listen to Empiricism.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so thanks for checking out the review. Don't forget to check us out on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And subscribe, rate, and review, please. YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, Podomatic. And if you'd like to contribute to the show, to keep it going, this does take time and money, so even $1 a month on Patreon will help us out more than you could imagine. Patreon.com/thevault. Until the next review or podcast or random discussion about Led Zeppelin and headphones, see you later.
Peace.